Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Maria, and today I'm going to be trying for the first time and playing with the Dior Holiday palette. This is the box that it came in, which is really beautiful just by itself without the packaging inside, because the packaging inside is absolutely stunning. This palette is made in France, and on the back of the box it shows you what's inside. So it's called the Dior, I say it Ecrin Couture, but I think it's pronounced something like Ecrin or something like that, and that means case or box, I believe. And this is a clutch inspired type of packaging. It is really beautiful. So the palette itself came in this velvet type pouch, and in this little pocket here is a tiny little blush brush, which I won't be using. And we'll get to the palette itself, and here it is. It's just stunning. The design on the front is inspired by the Dior boutique in Paris, and it has a gold tone lever. Now the covering on this feels like leather. It's probably pleather, but it feels really beautiful quality, and the palette itself is actually quite thick. It really is beautiful. Now this palette has an illuminating shade, it has the eyeshadow quint, it has 2 blushes and 4 satin lipsticks. So this handle here, which is just really, this whole thing is just really beautiful. It pulls down, has sort of like a lever, and you pull it right down and the lid just opens up. It has a really huge mirror inside, and then inside is all the beautiful products. As I said, the illuminizer, it's got a quint, it's got 2 blushes and the satin lipsticks. And just before I take the plastic covering off, it has 2 brushes set in there. One is to put the lipstick on, and the other one is an eyeshadow sponge. I don't think it's a brush, no. So there's just 2, or maybe one end does have, let me have a close, no, it's just a little sponge type applicator. I won't be using either of those today, but I will keep them in the product. So I'll just take the plastic covering off, and I will hold this a bit closer so you can take a look. But it is really beautiful, and I have seen a couple of videos on this, and I thought it looked stunning then, and also the pictures on Instagram, and that's why I picked it up. But when you see it in person, it's actually just even more stunning. It really is beautiful. So I'm just going to hold it up so you can take a look. And then I'll also close the cover so you can take a closer look at that as well. So I've already got my foundation on, I've got my concealer on, I've got bronzer, I've got eyeshadow primer, and I've also done my eyebrows. So because I was using the Dior palette, I pulled out the Dior, this is the 24-hour wear foundation. It's the shade 2.5N, and it really is a beautiful foundation. I love this one. And it's now spring here in New Zealand, so the weather's getting, it's not hot, but it's getting slightly warmer. So I'm starting to pull out those long wear foundations that just suit my skin that little bit more. I'm still able to wear the ones I was in winter, but I know in 2 or 3 weeks I am going to have to make that shift to these type of foundations. And the bronzer that I've got on is the Dior one. It's the Dior Forever Natural Bronze. This is in the shade 05. This is one of my favourite bronzers. This one probably, and the Chantecaille one in Goa, but I do reach for this one a lot. Has a really beautiful formula, and you can see that it no longer has the Dior logo imprint in there. That's how much I use this one. Just a really beautiful bronzer. But as usual, all the products that I'm wearing today on my face, I will list in the description box below. So I'm going to start off with the eyeshadow, and I'll swatch them on my arm. This is a fairly neutral type of light coloured quint, which I absolutely love. If you've seen my other videos, I do really love those neutral eyeshadows, and this, I can see just from looking at it, this will be eyeshadows that I would wear as my everyday type of makeup. But I will swatch them on my arm, so hopefully they will show up and you'll be able to take a good look at them and just see how they swatch. So these are the shade in the quint from left to right and top to bottom, and the final shade here, which is more of a topper shade, that's the middle one. So there is a mixture of, there's satins and I think one matte in here, but just all really beautiful neutral tones. And on the back of the palette, these eyeshadows are numbered. It doesn't actually have a name for the quint, well, not that I can see. So they're numbered 531, 731, 610, 661 and 780. There's also numbering for, I think the powder's got a number, the illuminating pressed powder. The blushes are numbered, and also the lipsticks. I'm pretty sure the lipsticks are already in the Dior range. I know for sure that the 999 is. I haven't got any of these shades though. They are more bolder type lipsticks, not really ones that I would wear for every day. So I'm not quite sure which one I'll put on. But let's start with the eyeshadow. I'll grab my Rephr number 15 brush and I'll go into not the very lightest shade. The lightest shade in this quint sort of has like a pink type of tone to it. So I might put that on my brow bone. But I'm going to start off with the shade here. And as I said, I'll use my Rephr number 15 brush. If this is like other Dior quints that I've tried, that I've got in my collection, then I'm sure they're going to go on pretty well. But you never know. I'm going to take the Rephr number 14 and go into the shade here. It's more of the taupe shade that's on the bottom left. Just put a bit of that through the crease and up above just to give a little bit of depth. These shadows are blending really beautifully. There doesn't seem to be any kick up in the pan and no fallout either, so they're just looking really beautiful and blending really easily too. These type of shades I love as well because it's quite easy to put together just a really beautiful look, but also quite simple and quick as well. I'm going to take the Sonia G Worker 3 brush. I'm going to go into the deepest shade here. It's a really deep brown, and put that on the outer corner and just above my crease as well. Otherwise you won't get to see it since I have hooded eyes. Now I'm going to take that Chikuhodo, this is the blend brush, and just blend this out a bit more. I always blend my eyeshadows out. I just like more of a diffused look, but I'm really loving these eyeshadows. The darkest one that I just used is a matte, and the other two shades are more of a satin, but they don't appear to be emphasizing my texture on my eyelids in any way, which is really good because that can happen with quite a few eyeshadows, especially when you have more mature skin. Then I want to run that darkest coloured eyeshadow, the really deep brown, on my lower lash line. So I've got a Rephr number 3, and I'll be able to use this on my upper lash line as well without having to use an eyeliner. It's a really beautiful, like a deep cocoa type of shade. I'm going to take the Chikuhodo. This is the F061. I'm going to go back into that lighter, the satin shade here, and just run this through here, and then I will go over with the topper shade and see what that looks like. And just before I put the topper shade on, I want to go into that lighter shade here, the one that I said had the pinky type of tone to it, and I'm just going to put some of that on my brow bone. This is the BK Beauty, it's the 206 brush, and just put a little bit up there. I'll probably have to blend it as well, so I will just blend that a bit. I've given this a wipe on my microfiber cloth in front of me, just so I don't get any of that really dark shadow over it. For the topper shade, I think I'll try it with a brush first and see how it goes. I've got the Rephr number 28, and I'm going to put that over the shadow I just put on before, and just a little bit over through the center. And then I think I'll also try it with my finger as well, to see if I can get a little bit more payoff. And you do get slightly more payoff with using my finger, I think. Although it looks really beautiful just using the brush as well. And then I want to line my upper lash line using that darker shade. So I'm going to use the Hourglass number 10 brush. And I need this mirror here. It's slightly magnified so I can see what I'm doing. So I think that I'm done with the eyeshadow. I think it looks really beautiful, blends really well. I'm now going to put on some mascara. I'll do that off camera. And then when I come back, we'll take a look at the blushes. So I actually forgot to put a highlighter on the inner corner of my eye, and I'm just deciding whether I'll use the gold topper shade that was in the quint, or maybe go to the highlighter itself that's in the palette. I think I'll try the highlighter that's in the palette. I'll swatch it for you after I've done my blush and I put it on my cheeks, but we'll pop it on the inner corner now and just see what it's like. It's actually quite a subtle highlighter, so I think it's going to be perfect for me on my cheeks, because I love a highlighter, but I do like them when they're on the more sort of subtle side. So now let's take a look at the blushes. There are two, and I will swatch them on my arm. Now these have names. I've written them down here because the writing is tiny on the back of my palette and it's hard to see with my 52-year-old eyes. So the shades are Ready 642 and the shade Miss, which is 047. So I'll swatch those now. So this is the shade Ready and this is the shade Miss. This is more of a softer pink and this is the brighter one. They're both really beautiful. They're not overly pigmented, but I think you'd be able to build them, but they are really gorgeous shades. So I think I'll go in with the lighter shade for today's look. I might put the brighter one on top as well. I'll just see how it goes. I'm going to use the Chikuhodo, it's a F03 brush, and just go into the shade. It is the shade Ready. It's hard to tell which one is which. And the brush fits quite easily in the pan, which is good. So I'm just going to flick my hair back a bit so it doesn't get in the way.
Never mind, we can talk about that later. Tonight, I'm not worried about the price. I feel good underneath.
So that is a really beautiful shade, the type of shade that I really like. They're not overly pigmented, but I did dip into the pan one more time. I only did it lightly both times, so they do build. But I quite like a subtle blush. But what I will do is I will go into the brighter pink, but I'm only going to very lightly dab in the pan and just pop that over the top.
I didn't come here to fight for who's wrong or who's right. I'm just trying to keep things light tonight, tonight, tonight.
Well, both shades together actually look really beautiful, but I only went in very lightly with that brighter shade, so you could probably dab the brush in each one sort of at the same time and put this on. But it's quite good, because if you're feeling like you just wanted that more subtle type of shade, go in with the lighter pink, and if you want a bit more pop of colour, then there's the brighter one as well. So now I'm going to try the illuminating press powder. This has the number 003. I'm going to grab my Chikuhodo highlighting brush. It's the KZ3. Now this brush might be a little bit too soft, but I'll just want to try it first with this and see how it goes. I'll do a swatch of this highlighter as well, so you can see it. I'll probably do that on the back of my hand, but we'll just see how it picks it up. I just get a feeling this brush, oh, it is nice. That it gives a very, with this brush, a really subtle type of highlight, which I really like, and doesn't seem to be emphasizing texture too much. I mean, that doesn't bother some people, but I don't like it if my texture's too emphasized, and I do tend to also really buff a highlighter in as well. It just gives a little bit more of a smoother look, but it is a really pretty highlight. Hopefully you can see it. Well, that is a really gorgeous highlight. I love how it looks on my skin. It's really beautiful. I'm just swatching a bit on the back of my hand. Hold it up to see if you can see that. I think you can. It looks quite blingy actually. So I think you could get more than what I've put on my cheeks if you used a brush that wasn't quite so fluffy. You could even initially put it on with your finger and then buff it out a bit. But you can see from on the back of my hand that I think you could definitely get more payoff. Maybe I should try that. Put a little bit on with my finger. It doesn't really matter for video purposes. I'll see if I can get a bit more of a bling. You can definitely get more. You can see the difference. So if you put some on with your finger, if that's the type of payoff you want, if you want it to have more of a bright sort of look, you can definitely do that. So it's good to know that with this highlight you can have a really soft sort of subtle type of highlight or get more payoff. I am going to just blend out though what I've put on, or buff it out. This is the Sonia G, this is the smooth buffer. I use this brush quite a lot for buffing out products. It's really, really good. So now we'll get on to the 4 satin lipsticks. I will swatch them on the back of my hand so you can take a look at them. Like I said, I think these shades, well, I definitely know one of them. I think the other shades are from their range as well. Someone who knows the Dior lipsticks more than me would know if these shades are already in existence or not. So this one is 999. This one is called Red Smile and it's 080. This shade here is called Ocre and it's 028. And the very last shade is Paris and that is 458. So even though a lipstick brush came with the palette, I do have one, even though I haven't used it for years for applying lipstick. It's the MAC. It's the 316 brush. And I'm just having a look at the lipsticks now, which one I'm going to wear. These are shades of lipsticks that I don't really wear that often. I go for a more neutral type of look. But I think I will put on the colour 028. That is the colour Ocre. So that is with the colour Ocre on, It is quite a nice colour. It's not really one, like I said, I would wear every day, but the formula of this is really beautiful, and it also went on really well too. I do wish in this palette, if they had to have the lipsticks in there, whether they even need lipsticks in there, I don't know, but maybe they could have put in a couple more neutral type of shades, or instead of lipsticks, maybe put in a bronzer or something like that. But then really that's just a personal preference for me. That's because with these shades of lipsticks, like I said, they're not something that I wear every day. But overall, the packaging of this palette and the way it's presented is just absolutely beautiful. The eyeshadows are gorgeous. I love these neutral type of shades. They blended beautifully. They don't emphasize the texture on my eyelids, and they just look really beautiful. I also love the color of the blushes as well. They're really subtle, but they're buildable and look gorgeous. I love the highlighter. I love that it can be subtle or you can build it up. I don't think you're going to get that really shiny bling look from it if that's what you're looking for. But if you want a little bit of highlight that just gives a really subtle, pretty look, then this is a really gorgeous highlighter. So overall, I think it is a really pretty look, and I just love this palette. I think it is stunning. It would have to be... Now, I said this a while ago because I got a Marni eyeshadow and a face palette, and I thought that was stunning. And then I recently got the NARS palette, and it is a stunning, I don't know whether you'd say stunning palette, that's more of a sexy palette, but this is probably now my most stunning palette that I have, and I'm going to be putting this on my shelf that's to the left of me. I've got a couple of shelves here, and this will be up there now so I can look at it. I don't want to put it away in a drawer. It's just far too beautiful for that. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with it and happy with the look. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.